Welcome back. At least 3 people have been killed and 18 others injured in what appears to be Ukraine's largest drone attack on Moscow overnight. Russia's defense ministry says more than 330 drones were downed over the Moscow and Kursk regions. The attacks come as U.S. and Ukrainian officials have started high-level, face-to-face talks in Saudi Arabia this morning, all aimed at trying to bring an end to that war. Following the latest for us from Ukraine is CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams. Holly, good morning to you. What more can you tell us about these talks in Saudi Arabia and what specifics are they likely to come away with?
Good morning, Errol. Well, the talks are clearly aimed at mending fences and trying to find some common ground between the US and Ukraine as the Trump administration continues to push for a ceasefire deal between Ukraine and Russia. En route to the talks, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that the US side was looking for a, quote, strong sense that Ukraine is prepared to do difficult things. But remember, from Ukraine's perspective, in recent weeks, the US has gone from its most important and one of its staunchest allies, providing over $100 billion in aid during 3 years of war, to suspending deliveries of military aid to Ukraine. President Trump calling Ukraine's elected president a dictator, and then giving him, Volodymyr Zelensky, a very public dressing down at the White House. Now, ahead of these Saudi talks, Zelensky stressed that his country has wanted peace from the very first second of this war. Most Ukrainians did not want Russia to invade their country. But at the same time, looking forward, Ukraine does not want to be pressured into a ceasefire deal that rewards Vladimir Putin with territory, Ukrainian territory, and then leaves the door open to him invading all over again in the future, because that has happened here before. Russia invaded Ukraine in 2014, Russia signed a ceasefire agreement and then invaded all over again in 2022. So to stop that happening, Ukraine does not want a temporary fix. It doesn't want a toothless agreement. It wants security guarantees, including from the US, to make Vladimir Putin think twice. And Ukraine also wants a continued supply of American weapons.
And on that point of making Putin think twice, we reported on these attacks that Ukraine launched over Russia, this drone attack overnight. What more can you tell us about that?
So, Errol, Russia says this is the biggest drone attack on Moscow during this war. They say that 91 drones targeted the Russian capital, killing at least one, sparking fires and forcing airports in the region to suspend flights. Now, the scale of this dawn attack may well be unprecedented, but make no mistake, this conflict is a drone war. It is the biggest land war here in Europe since World War II. And some of the trench warfare we've seen is reminiscent of that period, but it is combined with high-tech innovation on both sides. And nowhere is that more evident than in the battle for dominance in deadly drone warfare. Errol.
All right, Holly Williams with the latest for us. Holly, thank you.